Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith, and today I'm going to be talking about the top 3 play companies to bring in Warhammer 40k. Now, for those of you who are unaware what a play company is kind of like choosing your chapter for Space Marines, but we're doing it with a lovely Death Guard, so it's 10 times better. Personal opinion, obviously. But to get a play company, basically, you just assign them one. You pick one out of the 7 you've got options for in the Psychic Awakening War of the Spider book, and they all get the relative keyword, be it harbingers or whatever. The only ones that don't benefit, unless specifically stated, are poxwalkers and cultists. So everyone else gets it, and named characters as well. Apart from Typhus, he can get one in one of them. So yeah, and you get access to a relic, a couple of stratagems special for your play company, and then the overall effect of the play company. So, jumping in, the number 3 slot. And the reason it's on here is because I have done particularly well with it, especially in lower points games, but it can be quite effective. And I'll go over it when I get there, and I'll talk about the competitive aspect of each one of these as I go through them. But it is, and prepare yourself, because some people won't expect it, the Harbingers. Now, don't forget, it is number 3 on my list, so it is not the best one at all, but I do like it. Some people prefer the Ferryman, but it depends on what kind of list you're running. If you're running Poxwalkers, the Harbingers is obviously a very solid choice, because all your Poxwalkers gain the Harbingers faction keyword, and I bring Typhus if I'm bringing my Poxwalkers, and he gains it. The Warlord trait is Shamble Rot. When an enemy infantry model is destroyed as a result of an attack made by a melee weapon by this warlord, add 1 friendly Harbinger's Poxwalker unit within 7 inches of this warlord. You must pay reinforcement points if you go above the starting strength. Now, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. But, of course, you want Arch Contaminator if you're running Poxwalkers to get the sweet rerolls for your plague weapons when you shoot a Worm Spitter at a unit and your Poxwalkers suddenly have plague weapons. However, for 1 command point, you can get a stratagem that you use at the just before the battle starts, but after nominating your warlord. It's called Plague Chosen, 1 CP, and essentially you give someone who's not a warlord trait as well. So, let's say I'm running a Malignant Plague Caster and a Demon Prince, and the Demon Prince is my warlord. I can stick Arch Contaminator on him, or actually, I'd probably give him Shamble Rot. So you whack that on him, and then you pay 1 command point to give your Malignant Plaguecaster Arch Contaminator, because he's going to be hanging around with your Poxwalkers anyway, so you might as well. And he's the one I give the Worm Spitter to. So you can send your Demon Prince in forward, and he's going to be killing stuff left, right, and centre, because he's a Demon Prince, and he loves doing that. And you're replenning your Poxwalkers. Okay, now, you get a relic here. The relic's okay. It's up to you if you take it. There are better ones, but it is the Rot Skull Bomb. Only a model with a Blight Grenade can have this. It replaces it with the Rot Skull Bomb. Range 6, Grenade 2d3. It's Strength 5, which is fantastic. -2 AP, Damage 2. And it's a Plague weapon. So, yeah, that's pretty good. And when resolving attacks made with this weapon, do not roll to hit. It automatically scores a hit. So, very nice, very nice. So the reason this is on my list is because there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can go for the full max, 20 blobs, 3 times 20 blobs of Poxwalkers, Typhus, Malignant Plaguecaster, and Demon Prince, or something killy. Anything killy, really, that you can give the Warlord trait to Shamble Rot. And that's solid enough, because you've got the Warlord trait at that. Screw it, might as well use the Rot Skull Bomb if you've got someone who can use it. But we're going to ignore the stratagem, the top one for now, because it's trash, okay? The first stratagem is absolute trash. You can spend command points to teleport your Poxwalkers, but you can do that anyway in 9th edition, because you pay for reinforcement points, which is exactly the same for command points. I don't think it works out cheap or anything, so it's pointless. It's like they didn't even realise Knights were coming out when they wrote this. So yeah, they gave a useless one to us. But it's all about life beyond death, okay? Because if you don't want to run the max, you can run the min, so 10, 10 poxwalkers, and you can spam out units of 10. And it's quite good to do this if you're going to be facing up, not that you list tail up, if you're going against a lot of custodian players who like to get into combat and stuff like that, it can really work a charm, because they charge in, and they're pretty tough to get through anyway. They can do some solid damage, your poxwalkers, you can make them have plague weapons and all that good stuff, make them do mortal wounds on 6s, minus 4 AP, all that good, jolly good stuff. But if they die, you can spend 1 command point, and they explode basically, and deal D3 mortal wounds to the enemy. It's just a good way of getting mortal wounds. So if you've lost a poxwalker unit in combat, you might as well just pop a CP on it, and yeah, D3 mortal wounds. You could get just 1, but if you're going against custodies, mortal wounds is everything. On top of that, my poxwalkers dish out mortal wounds like it's going out of fashion, because of the mutant strain stratagem that you can give them. They'll be strength and toughness 5 with the right spells. They can be +1 to wound, and on top of that, 6s do mortal wounds. And of course, re-rolling to hit because of a Tallyman. I always bring a Tallyman, and re-rolling to wound because of Arch Contaminator, Plague Spitter. Ideal situation. You can even do, and if anyone knows the answer to this, it seems a bit jammy to me, but if I put Blaze of Putrefaction on them, rather than Veterans of the Long War, my poxwalkers, okay, and the Mutant Strain, so it's a psychic ability, psychic power, and a stratagem, they both will do mortal wounds on 6s. Does that mean my poxwalker now does 2 mortal wounds per 6 to wound it rolls? Because if it does, that is disgusting. I haven't played it like that yet, it's just food for thought, but I don't know, maybe I'm missing a rule where it says you can't do this or it doesn't stack, but I don't see why it wouldn't. So if you know, let me know. Anyway, that's the Harbingers, okay? I think they're funny. I think they're quite fun. Are they super competitive? In situations. They can be, but I think you have to really, really get into the theme of running a Poxwalker list and be used to it. But the other two are obviously stronger, in my opinion, because they're higher on this list than the Harbingers. Moving on, we got the number 2 slot. And it goes to Mortarion's Chosen Sons. I love this play company, okay? So, what do we get from this? Well, the Warlord trait is Crawling Pustulence. When resolving an attack made by a melee weapon against this Warlord, subtract 1 from the hit rolls. When an enemy unit, excluding units that can fly, is within 1 inches of this Warlord and falls back, roll a d6 on a 2+. That unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. That's quite good. It can be handy if you're playing something like Tau that like to retreat a lot when they get into combat because they die in combat. You can just punish them for that if you really want. There are much better Warlord traits out there, but sure, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one at all. And then we've got the Putrescent Relic Vomitrix. That's how I'm going to say it. Vomitrix. Essentially, it replaces a Plague Sprayer and replaces the profile with a range 9, assault 7, strength 7, -3, damage 2 weapon. It's a plague weapon, and they auto hit. It's not bad. Not a bad weapon at all. It's really good, actually. Again, there are probably better relics out there, but it's not a bad one. Plus, you can take multiple relics if you want to spend CP on it. And then we've got some pretty mental words coming up. We've got the Aeombical Narcium. That's how I'm going to say it. 1 CP. Use a stratagem before the battle. Select one of the Mortarion Chosen Sons Plague Surgeons in your army. Until the end of the battle, replace that model's Plague Surgery ability for the following one, which is, instead of re-rolling 1s for discussing resilient rolls, all Mortarion Chosen Sons infantry models within 3 of this model gets to re-roll 1s and 2s for discussing resilient. Now that is fantastic, because we do have a stratagem which can cost like 1 CP or 2, depending on how big your unit is, where you can make one of your units discussing resilient saves on a 4+. So if you've got your blob of Marines and they're going to get hurt or they're in danger in the start of the melee phase, you can be like, right, I'm going to give them a 4+ discussing resilient, and they're near my Plague Surgeon. So you've got 4 up, rerolling 1s and 2s. So only 3s truly fail on the first roll, and that makes them insanely tough, especially if you've buffed them up a little bit already, because they can go up to toughness 6 with 1 spell, being the Putescent Vitality. So yeah, they become strength 5, toughness 6. 3 up save. In combat shooting, it'll be 2 up if you put them near one of the Blight Haulers, because they count as being in cover. And then they're 4 up disgusting resilient, rerolling 1s and 2s. Stupidly tough to get through. So if they're sat on an objective and you really don't want to lose it, and they're going to take a lot of fire this turn, might as well whap the 4 up disgusting resilient and make sure this guy stays near them. That's why I love this Plague Company. Absolutely love it. Then we got our other one, Plague Brewers. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when a Mortarion Chosen Sons unit from your army is chosen to shoot with. Until the end of that phase, Plague Belchers, Plague Spurts, Gauntlets, and Plague Spewers have damage 2 rather than 1, which is amazing. So if your army's got quite a few things like that in it, this is quite a good Plague Company to go for. This is one I tend to go for if I'm not using Poxwalkers, simply because I like having nigh-on invincible Plague Marines. It is ridiculous. Try it out, trust me. Give them a 4 up disgusting resilient and just see what happens. Like, you can have a Warlord trait to give revoltingly resilient to one of your Warlord, and you stick this person next to them and they just don't die. It gets a bit silly. And I'm pretty sure you can get a relic called the Fulgrim's Helm, I think, and it increases your aura ability by 3 inches. So this is an aura ability as far as I'm aware. So it goes to 6 inches. Yeah. That's just... yeah, they're really strong. It's really, really good. One of my favourites. But now we're moving to the number 1, and I think a lot of people can guess which one this is going to be, because it seems to be very popular. I've run it a couple of times. I don't... okay, I like it a lot. But everyone and their mother is running it. It is, of course, the Poxmongers taking the number 1 slot. It is by far one of the strongest, like, without a doubt. Now that we've got Blasphemous Monstrosity, or Contaminated Monstrosity, apologies, we can give Disgusting Resilient to pretty much any demon engine. So you've got the Hellforged Contemptor Dreadnoughts, you've got the Leviathan Dreadnoughts, you name it, you can give it Disgusting Resilient now. And it only costs like 1 command point, maybe 3, if you want to stick it on 3 different things. If you're bringing quite a few different Hellforged units, or you're bringing Defilers, things like that. And Vehicle's got a massive buff in this edition, the fact that they can shoot in combat, they can move and shoot and fire heavy weapons with no penalties. The Malefic Bite Haulers have gone down in points, so they're fantastic. Not that you need this stratagem with them, they get Disgusting Resilient, but they are seriously top dogs at the moment. Give a Leviathan Dreadnought Disgusting Resilient, he becomes basically like stupidly strong. So, what do you actually get from the Poxmongers? Well, the Warlord trait and Sanguineous Flux. When resolving an attack made by melee weapons by friendly Poxmongers against an enemy infantry unit whilst the model is within 7 inches of your Warlord, improve the AP characteristic of that weapon by 1 for that attack. So straight away, that is fantastic. Your Plague Marines and now have an extra AP with their Plague Knives. You can buff Plague Marines with 2 Plague Knives to High Heaven to do 1,000,000 damage and get an extra attack, +1 to wound, mortal wounds on 6s with Blades of Putrefaction. And now they're -1 AP on top of that. Insane. And again, like in the previous one, you can have more than 1 Warlord trait, obviously on different heroes or characters. Then we've got the Ironclop Furnace. This is why this one is so popular. Models in the Poxmongers Demon Engines units from your army have a 4+ invulnerable save, whilst their unit is within 7 inches of a friendly model with this relic. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. You see what I mean? So you got a Leviathan Dreadnought, a Leviathan Siege Dreadnought, whatever, and it's super tough. It's got loads of wounds. It is now got a 2-up save, 4-up invulnerable save, 5-up disgusting and resilient. Mental, absolutely mental. And there we have it. You can literally have armies full of demon engines, keep them near your warlord, and they just survive for days. It's insane. You can heal these units as well. Yeah, I can see why this. I mean, hopefully you can see why this took the #1 slot. It's by far the most popular Plague Company. So, yeah, just so you know. But it is for people who like running their demon engines. And I run a few. I run a fair few. I do like the Blight Haulers. I do like the Bloat Drones. And I have tried it with Defiler and a Leviathan Dreadnought. The Leviathan Dreadnought literally killed everything and just could not be brought down. So, there's that. Anyway, that is my top 3 Plague Companies for Death Guard. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, do consider hitting the like button, so I know people like this kind of content. And if you can feel Papa Nurgle calling to you to give you his blessing, then consider subscribing, and I can guarantee he will give you his blessing. Not that you might want it, actually, thinking about it in the current situation of the world, but it's a good thing, because you'll be, I don't know, immune or something. Anyway, before I go off, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.